Removing the backpack, he put it on the ground before him and dropped to his knees. From inside, he took out the only item contained within. The collapsible shovel was assembled in moments, and with one last look around, he set about digging. Barely 5 inches beneath the surface, he found the rim, and within a minute of that, he had unearthed the top. Clearing more space around it, he put the shovel down and used his fingers to pry off the lid to the orange plastic tub, breaking the airtight seal. Immediately, a smile crossed his face as he examined the contents. There was no evidence of moisture penetration, as he anticipated, and all was as he had left it. Firstly, he took out the length of coiled climber's rope, cable ties, and duct tape, placing them all in the open rucksack. Next, he picked up the mobile phone, removing the cover and slotting in the battery from his own handset, deliberately chosen to be interchangeable. Switching it on, he watched as the screen illuminated and went through its startup process. Putting the phone in his jacket pocket, he returned his focus to the container. A resealable bag came out. The £300 in used 10s and 20s were swiftly transferred into his pockets. A bottle of drain cleaner and a pack of refuse sacks were added to the rucksack. Retrieving a small red and white cardboard box, he opened it to reveal it was full to capacity. Lastly, he took out the semi-automatic pistol and checked it over. The slide was well greased and moved with ease back and forth, as did the hammer action. Several years of military service had taught him how to prepare a firearm for these conditions. Releasing the magazine, he loaded it with rounds from the cardboard box and, having replaced it, chambered one. Ensuring first that the safety was on, he put the weapon in the pack alongside everything else. Quickly reattaching the lid, he buried the container once more, covering the disturbed earth with detritus that he found lying around. Finally, he collapsed the shovel and returned that to the rucksack. Lifting it onto his shoulders, he bore the newly acquired weight with ease. With a last glance at the ground, content that almost any sign of his presence was fleeting, he set off back towards the car park. The family came to mind once more, and he wondered whether they had reached their car and set off already. A wave of exhilaration passed over him, and he fought to subdue it. This wasn't the time. Although he had been raised to never look a gift horse in the mouth, and for a brief moment he considered breaking into a run before quelling the urge. That was getting harder and harder as time passed. The recognition of that fact made him stop to draw breath. There was a process, and it was successful, one that had been developed through experience and had never failed him. Why should he change it now? Was this becoming mundane? Perhaps it was time to broaden his horizons a little bit, mix up the status quo. Maybe so, but not today. That would require some thought. Unless an opportunity presented itself again, of course. That would signal something else was at work, a power far greater than him. Retracing his steps back to the trail as the sunshine broke through the clouds in ever greater bursts, he made it to the car park soon after. The family had made worse time than predicted and was still loading the car as he approached. The mother smiled warmly in his direction before leaning in and clipping their daughter's seatbelt in place. The father offered a small wave of acknowledgement, no doubt his pride slightly dented at having to ask a stranger for help in finding their way. Their son was hopping around in the rear, apparently searching for something lost amongst their gear. Whistling a nameless tune, his thoughts drifted to the contents of his rucksack, all easily accessible if required. He must have slipped into a daydream of possibilities, because he found the father staring at him as he finished stowing their kit, closing the boot to their people carrier. He looked on as the family closed their doors, the father casually walking around to the driver's side and taking out his keys. The man stopped and glanced over toward him. At that moment he realized he had stopped walking and was standing in the middle of the car park, watching intently. Still, he didn't move. The excitement was building once again. This coming weekend was shaping up to be a great one.